And it is time again to say hello to Justin Suboleski from the camera shop in Muskegon. How are you, sir?
Good, Kirk. How are you?
Great. So it's time for another Facebook challenge. What are
Yes,
we
it
going to
is.
challenge? What are we going to challenge people with this week?
So our challenge this week, Kirk, is at-home abstracts.
Ah,
So what that means is, what is abstraction? Well, abstraction is just trying to take something that you see kind of that's the everyday thing, and it's minimizing it to its simplest form, just like really simplifying it. So trying to look for things around the house and boiling them down to their basic shapes, textures, colors, things of that nature. So instead of trying to look at the world as a whole, we're trying to look at the world in its simplest form.
sounds fun. It's almost like a scavenger hunt kind of thing in your own house.
It is. In fact, I had spent a good chunk of the weekend kind of looking around, scouring around, like what can I actually shoot? And when you look in your house, you're kind of like, you take it all for granted. So it really kind of forces you to look at things critically, which is a really important thing when it comes to photography.
Well, we've got some examples here. We're going to look at abstract number one. And
Yes.
wow, this is what I guess I need to ask, what is it?
Well, I've got a little before and after, and
Yeah.
what you're really looking at is those are knife handles. So you're just looking at handles of knives that
All
are
right,
in
so
a knife holder.
So if we look at abstract number two, and we look at it in a different perspective, we can
Yep.
see actually what it is.
Yeah,
I
you're
love
just
that.
seeing. Yeah, you're just seeing what the outside of that looks like. So it's just kind of like, hey, really close up and then far away.
And then abstract number three. Now I'm old enough to remember what I think this is. I believe it's a typewriter, right?
Yes, sir. Yep. My grandmother passed away a couple years ago, and this is something that's left over from her estate, and it's a good old electric typewriter. And so you just get up close and personal with it, and you can get some really cool lines and some really cool shapes, and that's what you're seeing right here.
And abstract number four, is that just a tighter version of that?
Yeah. So where you saw kind of the numbers up close, now you're just
Mhm.
looking at those lines. So again, we're boiling down an object to its simplest form. So you're able to see lines, shape, color. So here we're just really looking at the lines.
Now I want to jump ahead a little bit. You sent one, it's called Pattern Abstract 10. What is that?
Well, that's just a pan, like a stovetop pan at the bottom. I'm just looking
Oh,
at the little conductive rings there, and it's interesting. Like what you can take is just looking at things like flipping upside down, and pan is a circle shape, so it's just
right.
trying to isolate kind of that, get a quarter of the circle, and just looking at all the little circles within that whole circle, and just those curved lines. Curved lines are really nice to add into a photograph because they're not as interesting as like vertical or horizontal lines.
And I also love the transparent abstract. This is an extremely tight shot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then when we come a little bit further out, you can tell kind of what it is. But it's so fascinating to me. Perspective really is everything.
Yes, and that's the biggest thing with abstraction is perspective is it's really forces you to get up close. That's one of the means to the ends with shooting at home abstracts. And a
Hmm.
way to do that is you can use your kit lens on your camera or your
Right.
cell phone, but it is really difficult. So if you have a macro lens, a lens that's designed to
Right.
work with your camera to get up close and personal, that allows you to kind of cheat it in a little bit and really take the cake with it. If you don't have that, there's this nice little thing called they call them extension tubes, and
Mm.
you can put those on your kit lenses that come with your cameras. Those are only like $100, and they
Okay.
actually turn those kit lenses, because I heard you had some trouble shooting yours, and if you had
Yeah.
extension tubes, you could turn your kit lens into a macro lens just for $100.
I love it. I love it. Well, we're out of time already, Justin. I love this. It gives us something to do while we're all in quarantine, and it's another great Facebook challenge. People can get all the information on our website, 13onyourside.com.